Dear guests, welcome to the Watcher Poll. Today, our special guest is Minister of Social Cohesion and Family Affairs of Greece, Miss Sofia Zacharaki. Sofia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for the invitation. Just the day before the elections here in Greece, and after a couple of days that millions of people are now gathering at the election posts in order to make their selection, whether that may be digitally through a postal vote that we had for the first time here in Greece, and I'm very proud of it. And of course, the ability to collect and gather more interest in this special celebration for democracy.
Exactly. European institutions have launched a special campaign, Use Your Vote, and the Watcher Post TV has participated in it, calling on all the people around the European Union to go to polling stations and cast their votes. It's interesting to hear that you are also having the opportunity to send basically and vote remotely. This is the first time you did it in Greece. Do you expect that the turnout in Greece and in other member states is going to be higher than it was before?
I can tell you with certainty that I see that there is unfortunately faint interest until now in the European elections here in Greece. I think that people have been realizing that elections are due to take place just this week. So we are trying really to activate this interest by campaigning all around Greece. The Prime Minister, first of all, selected 12 of his ministers, and I was proud to be one of them, to take charge of prefectures outside of the prefecture of regions, I'm sorry, outside of the region of Attica. So that means 12 ministers. We really went everywhere along with deputy ministers, with members of government, and of course, other people from all the other political parties have been trying to do that, with the end result to be able to attract more voters, whatever their selection may be, at the election ballots. I see that especially younger people tend to be a little bit, influenced also by the good weather here in Greece. We told them to use their vote to make a change, to make a difference, because it all depends on them, and not let somebody else make the selection for them. So I really hope that we can sustain the participation levels of 2019, but I'm a little bit worried about finally turnout results. We will try to keep, to keep the interest alive. Of course, we are now under the strict laws of the day before the election. But until now, we have seen that it was during the last days that we see a little bit more of vivid interest. Now, with the postal vote, it was really an honor for me to be a member of this government that trying to implement for the first time, and it was a seamless procedure. And I really want to thank our officials and our public servants for that, because it was a seamless procedure. You were able to just um, expect someone at the house, having received a code in your message, make your selection and send it back. So I think that this will also be a measure that we will implement during the general elections in 3 years from now, because it helps a lot of people, elderly people, people with disabilities, people who work season here in Greece, and there are plenty of them, to make a selection and really change things according to their own views.
It's great, and if I may say, we shouldn't be surprised that the homeland of democracy is taking a mile forward and again serving as an example to all the other member states, and we hope that all the others are going to follow your path. But when we talk about also interest in the European elections, and when we look back to the past 5 years, what do you think were the main we can even say legislative files, but not necessarily initiatives coming from the European Union that marked this previous term? And do you think that people in Greece see it and feel it? Not necessarily the membership of the European Union, I'm sure that it's taken for granted, but the benefits and also, I would say, the importance. Do they feel that that something is decided here for their own benefits and that it's important to participate in this decision-making process?
Let me start with the second question because I think that it has become quite clear, especially during the large floods, the extreme floods of Thessaly, which is a region in central Greece, back in September 2023, how important it is to be able to reflect in a more illustrative way, in a more lucid way, the work that has been done in Brussels through all the European, of course, members, and of course through the European Council and of course the Commission when it comes to the daily life of people. So the farmers and the people representing all the agricultural world, they were able to realize how important it is to create those synergies and or try to influence. Uh, is that okay? I mean, I think that we had a little bit of a
You
connection.
can
Okay, so I was saying that it was very clear to our farmers after this very last distraction we had in September 2023. Climate crisis is here, and of course, all the politicians and all the officials have to make very clear that it is what happens in Brussels that really makes a change in how many, let's say, how many acres you can grow, you can cultivate, and what kind of help or subsidies you can receive if you implement new and innovative ways in your ways, let's say, in your agricultural methods. Now, let me go back to the things that I personally deem that are very important and have happened. I will start by referring to the European Data Act, one that is very, very recent, but it's going to make a change because we will have more data available and we have all the rules that we can access and use data for purposes all around the EU. I pay a lot of attention also to the digital protection, especially of youth, as the competent minister also for youth matters and a teacher myself. And I believe that the European Union must do more in order, first of all, to protect data and protect the people from all the possible, maldoing that can incur in those new uncharted waters, let's say, that we are now we are being guided through. For our ministry as well, it is a very important step towards equality and protection of women, of course, the directive for improving gender balance and, of course, improving and strengthening the application and the principle of equal pay for equal work and or of equal value between men and women, and pay transparency and of course the enforcement mechanisms. These are two directives that we are going to transpose in the following 2 years through the work that we're doing in our ministry. And of course, I also take note and highlight the communication that was entitled by the Commission that was entitled Strategy for the Rights of the Child. As we here also in the ministry, we have the competence of child protection. I will never forget, and I think nobody will forget, the last 5 years and the impact of COVID. And I will, of course, refer to the RRF and the very important initiative that was taken on the European ground in order to help the member states and implement all these reforms and, of course, all these new tasks that we can now apply. For example, in the ministry, we are deploying all the funds of the RRF for people with disability, for deinstitutionalization of children that live in the public system because of different reasons. For example, we are doing things for early intervention to fight, let's say, marginalization of people with disability or use more people with disability in the workplace. So all these things that can make a difference in daily life. And with this way, we can show the relevance of the EU policies and all the initiatives to the daily lives of people, and this will make them become more engaged.
Sure. We touched upon many different and important things which have been discussed here. And when we talk about children, we cannot miss talking about demography, which has been one of the key topics in the previous Commission mandate. And many say that it's one of the key issues related to all the others: industry, to migration, and benefits of European economy overall. Do you think that the toolbox which has been adopted recently here can help member states to revive in a way, and also build up and do progress when we talk about European demography?
I'm certain of it, and I would like to congratulate the Vice President Dubrovka-Suica, and of course von der Leyen for her, Madam von der Leyen for her initiative, of course, to start a unique and separate competence portfolio for demography and democracy. And I think that the presence and all the very vivid activity of the Vice President herself has been instrumental in getting more member states to talk about demography. Us here in Greece, we have been quite lucky to have this new Ministry for Social Cohesion and Family Affairs with a distinct competence in our deputies, in our Secretary General, directly reporting to the Minister about demography. We are now completing the work on the first action plan on demography, and it is indeed an all-encompassing task, because when we're talking about demography, we're talking about infrastructure. When we're talking about demography, we're talking about local economies. We're talking about childcare. We're talking about the health system and education system. How can a young couple or a member of our let's say, cultural communities become very optimistic and safe in order to start their own family? So, Andrea, what I'm saying is that when we're referring to demography with the invaluable help of the European Commission and the Vice President herself, we are referring to all the other portfolios as well that can make a difference, get more people to come and stay here in the European Union, for our young Europeans to feel the safety and optimism that they can thrive wherever they decide to live. And I think that this will be a key topic for everyone. Let me also add something that I've been noticing for the past years I've been in politics. You know, demography has never been, or not very vividly been, a topic of discussion. Maybe other things, it was the economic crisis, of course, but now it's becoming an even more contemporary subject when we also look at the demographic trends. For example, here in Greece, between 2022 and 2023, we also saw a decline of 10.8% in births. I cannot say that we can reverse the trend, but we can definitely stabilize the numbers and get more people, as I said, to feel this optimism and sense of security and safety in order to start their own families, should they wish so.
What, talking about this and looking at the next 5 years of the EU institutions, what do you see as the key challenges, and what should be the priorities of the next Commission?
Will definitely become more concrete about and adamant in applying the rules about the climate crisis. We see that crisis management will be, referring of course to the climate change, will be an everyday task for all political leaders, for all member states, but at the same time rationalize all the guidelines for the common agricultural policy, because we need to keep our farmers on the land and become as sensible as we can when we're talking about this balance between the green fields, which we of course need, but at the same time the fields that we cultivate, of course, abiding fully and respectfully to the laws as regards environmental policies. I'm also turning my head and looking at the needs of the young people. We need to do more, and I think that we can take more initiatives when we're discussing about the labor market. about applying a new taxation and subsidies laws when we're talking about youth work, and also getting a more united front in issues that pertain to child protection and, of course, housing. Because I will expect, of course, it's member state competence, but I will expect a more unified front in order to tackle all the impact of inflation and, of course, all the local, let's say, discrepancies that we have, but with a lot of sometimes common elements when we're dealing, of course, with higher prices and higher rents. All the needs and all the questions that young people are actually asking on the daily basis, and of course the defense policy. I think that it will be a topic of discussion, this joint and common defense policy, and legal migration. So I would say that I will definitely point out and look at those points that will make a European Union a place where you feel safe, where it can defend itself, and it can create more jobs and be at the forefront, of course, of innovation.
10 years ago, Greece was on the edge. We had a referenda for leaving the Eurozone, migration wave during Juncker campaign, and many, many challenges. Today, you are one of the member states which has the fastest growth of GDP. When you mention also migration and defense, how do you see it for the future? Do you think that this initiative which President von der Leyen has announced during her campaign of nominating a special commissioner for defense could help us?
Again, starting from the second question, I'm very much in favor of this initiative. I think that it was, and it is about time that we talk about this unified common front on defense. Greece, of course, has been one of the countries that is spending more, due, of course, to the geopolitical position, spending more on defense, and we will continue to do so. We, of course, always prioritize peace, and we know that it's through discussion and consultation that we can keep this, let's say, calm waters, where that may be. But I do feel that the European Union needs a commissioner for defense. We are really content, and I cannot say happy, but we are satisfied that Greece is faring much better in the past years. We have been able to defeat populism and those very easy solutions to very difficult problems, and we have seen the cost of voting for those politicians from 2025 to 2019. 2015 to 2019. I believe that it is the reason why Greek people have also chosen for the second time the center-right government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, whom they have seen as someone who has raised the profile of Greece, been able to lower taxes, and of course been able to attract more direct investment, also empowering the local investors in order to be able to have a mix of course, international investors who have who tackle with fewer barriers to enter the Greek economy. We have seen a lot of big investments happening in important places, not just in the region of Attica or near Athens, but also in the Greek periphery, and this is a pleasant, let's say, outcome. And we also see that we are faring much better than other European countries in GDP. But we have started at the very low end, because I remind everyone who will grace us with watching this interview that we lost almost 1/4 of our GDP during crisis. So we need to speed up our effort. We have raised 4 times the minimum wage and been able to balance benefits with helping and aiding more people to find a well-paid job, which is the most stable and way to be more independent. So I will say that it is a combination of economic measures, lowering taxes, improving bureaucracy, which is of course a remaining issue, and lowering barriers to enter for FDI.
My last question goes exactly to investment, and basically in these current challenges that we are facing within the European Union, but also around the European Union, starting from the war Ukraine situation in the Middle East, and raising competition around the world, also when we talk about China, we have to look ahead of the US elections. So my question is how Europe can attract more investment and secure its own supply chain in the next 5 years?
It's a whole combination of tax measures that we have taken. They have to be really brave, and it's also a combination of research and development, because the more funds go into becoming more competitive and being at the forefront and spearheading all the efforts in with our scientists and the people that are at the forefront of innovation, we can of course attract more investment. But we also need to look further and look at our member state policies as well. So I believe that it's going to be very instrumental to see who the next president of the Commission, and of course the new Council president, and all the initiatives that the member states take, because it is very important to talk about the labor movement. So all these initiatives about research and development and about innovation cannot only stay in one member state. I very much believe, Andrea, in all this movement, and of course this exchange of best practice among member states. We are going to take more initiatives here in Greece about R&D, also in the field of medicine or pharmaceuticals, and also creating more products pertaining to AI. But it will be a very important paper in the portfolio, of course, of the Trade Commission and of all the commissioners that have a lot of work to do in order to keeping our Europe a more attractive place to stay. But it is also directly linked to all the social context and all the provisions that you take for the people that are here in Europe or want to come here in of course in a very safe and a very steady way. What kind of quality of life you present with these people? What is, as I said, the safety and optimism they feel? So yes, the companies to be here to attract more, and the people that work also in this union to feel that they live in the best place ever, where peace is secured, and of course quality of life is here abundant for everyone.
Thank you very much, Sofia. I think that this was a great closure of this amazing conversation where we touched upon all the challenges we faced, but also thank you for giving basically a very optimistic way ahead and how we can secure and show that Europe is the best place to live. Once again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being with us. And we look forward to welcoming you here in Brussels.
I look forward to seeing you there in Brussels as well. Until then, I would like to urge everyone who will watch today's discussion, I think they will find it interesting. And secondly, if they are supposed to go and vote tomorrow, to be there, to use their vote, and not let anybody else select somebody for them. They need to make their own choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perfect message for the closure. Dear guests, this was Minister of Social Cohesion and Family Affairs of Greece, Ms. Sofia Zacharaki. Stay tuned, there are many more interesting interviews to come.